Hey guys, Big Bulldog 82 in the soil, and it's time to start our carrots, y'all. I grow them in buckets, so I've had a few questions here and there about how I do it and what I do. So that's exactly what I'm getting ready to cover today for you guys. The way I do it may be different from the way that a lot of people do, but there's reasons, of course, just like everybody else has reasons for why I choose to go through the steps that I do, which may make it easier for some, may not make it easier for others, but either way, I'm getting ready to show you. All right, so come on a ride, let's do this, and I hope you guys are able to take something away from this. Alright guys, so here we are. We're all set up for planting carrots, and I've actually got 2 buckets here. I'm just going to do 2 buckets for the spring because I just don't need that many come middle of summer, but I will probably have about 2 to 3 times as many buckets for my late summer planting, so I can have, winter carrots. But anyways, first thing, here are the 2 varieties we're doing today, which are the New Corota and Olympus. Let's see if I can get it. There you go, the Olympus carrot. Actually, obviously, I'm just going to only be doing one. I'm not going to make you sit through 2 plantings of it. So we have our seeds. I've already got name tags for both of them. And now here is my little way of planting them. So I either plant carrots in these kitty litter containers here, but I also have some round planters that I will put them in as well. So for both of each of those, I use fabric or hardware cloth. So for instance, for my round containers, I've got this one that's already cut out because I plant by grid pattern. I don't like the multi-sown or overseeding and then having to thin out carrots. I'd rather deal with the minutia of itty bitty seeds one time, and then after that I can just let them grow. So we have this for my round planter, and then for this, even though the size isn't perfect, it's for a different planter that I have that I also used to mostly put my carrots in, but now I pretty much like to use these kitty litter buckets. But the fact that it overlaps a little bit and sits on top of the rim of the bucket here works fine for me too. So that's my deal. Okay, so if you've seen my impaired series of videos, the first video I did was called a station. And like I said then, you can set up a station anywhere. Right now, this is my station. In my garage, I have everything I need. The prepared soil inside of the kitty litter buckets. I've got some water already ready to go. Got my seeds and my name tags here. So all there is get down to it. So before I do my seeds, I typically will, for most of my seeds, do a grid pattern. And unless I know the carrots are going to be of a really thick shouldered variety, I'll space them out a little bit more. But believe it or not, I can get up to 30, 38 or 40 carrots in one kitty litter bucket, which since I first started doing it and I realized how many I can get in there is why I just keep coming back to this way. So also before I get started, I obviously understand that I'm probably going to be fast forwarding through a lot of this because there's no sense in me being mundane and letting you guys go through this whole thing without it being sped up. So I will explain it here, what I'm doing. I'll do a few little bits of each step and then fast forward through the rest. So here we go. So I typically like to give at least two squares of space between all the sides. So that would typically mean that the closest that I want to plant for my outside row would probably be right about here. So then I just jump over two. 1, 2, down. And I like making all my holes at first just because then I can just go. Now here I'm a little short, so what I'll do is I'll come down 1, 2, and over 1. Boom. So that's going to give me this stair-stepped way all throughout there. So now I just go back. Now just go back the other way. 1, 2, over 1. Like I said, I know this might seem a little brain draining and a pain in the ass, but it works. So now 1, 2, and 1. And it helps if you moisten your soil if it's not already moist. All right, now we have all of our holes put into the bucket. So I can see them. I'm not sure exactly how well you guys are going to be able to see them, but that doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do now is take our seeds. Now you have two options. You can get the seeds that are like just your normal seeds that if you had let your carrots go to seed and what you would get. And while I do it this way, those who have not quite as sharp eyes or just aren't really good with fine motor skill stuff, you may choose not to do this option because it can be kind of frustrating from time to time, which is why I have a little skewer here to help push seeds in. But you can also get pelleted seed. And while I like the theory of pelleted seed, you get way less seed for that than you would just this regular seed. And I've always heard people say that because the pelleted seed has a clay layer around the seed, that it takes them a little longer just to break free of that, and sometimes they don't break free of it. So just as far as me, I'm fine with these seeds. But for anybody who, like I said, has issues with fine motor control or bad eyesight, just go for the pelleted seed. It'll save you a lot of hassle. So with that, here we go. I'm gonna start putting mine in. All right, so now admittingly, this is going to be the tedious part of this whole thing. And if I haven't already explained it earlier in my video, my thought is I'd rather burn time now doing a very tedious task, putting in just the carrot seeds that I need, than go back after and thin. I find thinning out is such a waste of seed, and if I can go ahead and just get it done now and then not have to worry about it later, that's fine. Plus, once this is completely filled up with carrot tops, even if some of the seeds don't germinate, it doesn't really matter because you won't be able to tell anyways, and it just gives extra room for the carrots anyway. So as we've already said, if I get 100% germination out of this, it will be 50 carrots in this one kitty litter pail. Alright, let's see if I can get this all in frame without getting my hand in the way. So we'll just go down each row, putting in one seed at a time. And the stick is here for just like that. When it doesn't want to go in, you just make it go. And so we don't forget which rows we've already done, I'll go ahead and seal up each hole. So, alright, so let's just keep going. At some point, I know I'm probably going to have to fast forward through this for you guys because I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing. I'm just doing enough for you to get the idea. And I figure I'm still young enough where my eyes work fine that I can go ahead and do this. If I was older or if I had issues with my eyesight, then I'd probably just stick to doing this by the typical method that people use and just spread them out and then thin later on. But since at the moment my eyesight's good and my hand-eye coordination is good, I'm doing it this way. And yes, you can also still do 2 seeds in a hole if you wish, and while that way would be okay in my book as far as not wanting to waste much, it would still mean I would have to go back through at some point and thin them out for any of the holes where I had 2 carrots come up, because the point of this is nice straight carrots that fill up the pail in as close or as to clean up the pail in as best scenario for a high intensity planting. So making the most out of the small space that we've got. And of course, this is not my only bucket of carrots, but I plant all my buckets like this. And hopefully by the time it comes to show these carrots, either A, after they've sprouted and grown for a while, or B, once they're ready to be picked, then you'll understand why I feel that this is a worthwhile method of sowing carrots. Alright, now what I'm going to do is take some this is Pro Mix, and I'm going to try to put a fine layer over top of the seeds that are here just to cover them a little bit. You don't have to do this. I could just water in. I've done it without doing this before. I just like to do it. Plus the Pro Mix has a tendency to dry out, and when it does it turns light, so it sort of kind of gives me a heads up of whether or not I need to spray this down a little bit, because it's got to stay damp and the seeds have to stay that way until they germinate. So it's just a protective measure. You don't have to do it. I just do it because I've gotten in the habit of doing it. So here I am. Let's see, almost there. Just a little bit more and we're done. Alright, that's good enough. Yep. So now we have that fine layer of sifted Pro Mix. You could do this with cocoa coir, you could do it with just peat, or whatever potting mix you have. And now we spray it down. And done. So there you have it. They are done. And all I've got left to do is put a label on this and a date and the letter B. As soon as it comes and pops up through the top of the soil, I may do an update video then, or I just might wait until they're further along in the growing to show you what the results are. Well, there you have it. Carrots are in. I'm happy. Again, it might be a little bit of a tedious process, I will admit that. But again, I would rather take the time now and put down individual seeds in individual holes that are almost gridded out inside of my containers than to just blindly sprinkle the seeds down just to have to thin them out later. For me personally, I get more carrots the way I do it. I spend less time throwing out perfectly good carrots or little seedlings. If I have a spotty germination along the way, by the time those carrots grow out in my containers, you don't even notice it. And the side benefit is even if they don't grow, then the ones that do grow just have that much more space to get a little bit bigger than they would have had otherwise. But either way, I still get full-size carrots. So you let me know down in the comment section, please, that whether or not the process that I use seems like it's just more trouble than it's worth, or do you see the benefits and would like to try it yourself too? That's all I've got for you guys today. I hope that it's helped you, and I hope you guys get those carrots that you're asking for. So with that, it's Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil. I'm gonna see you guys later. All right.